When Denmark, Poland or Estonia act against incursions into their airspaces, they are protecting our common borders and territory, those of the European Union. They have our full support because we are committed to face together common threats on all fronts, whether conventional, hybrid or cyber, with common purpose. In fact, that purpose has been clear since the start of Russia's war in Ukraine, and that purpose has a name: to build the Europe of defence. A new sanctions package is on the table, targeting oil revenues, banks, crypto and shadow fleet. We are also paving the way for Ukraine's membership of the European Union. Ukraine has been delivering on the EU accession-related reforms, and the Commission has recognized.
We meet at a time where Russia have intensified their attacks in Ukraine, where we have seen Russian airspace violations and unwanted drone activity in several European countries. They are threatening us, and they are testing us, and they will not stop. So what is our next steps? First of all, we have to step up our military and financial support for Ukraine. We talk a lot about security guarantees to Ukraine, but in fact, it is the other way around. Ukraine is today Europe's security guarantee. Our support to Ukraine is a direct investment in our own security. And therefore, we have to deliver long-term financing of Ukraine's armed forces. Ursula, you have presented a model that will front-load future war reparations by Russia to Ukraine. I strongly support the idea. And to me, it is only fair that Russia pays for its violation and destruction.
And I want to express my solidarity with the member states whose airspace has been violated. Poland, Romania, Estonia, and of course, most recently, Denmark. These violations are part of hybrid war tactics. And these are threats that demand a strong and determined reaction and answer from Europe, because every European citizen and every square centimetre in Europe has to be safe. So we must provide the strongest of deterrents at scale and at speed. My final point is on Ukraine. It's now 3 years and 7 months since Russia's full-scale invasion, and Ukraine continues to fiercely resist. At the same time, we see that Russia is under increasing economic pressure. Our sanctions are working. I give you some figures. If you look at the interest rates in Russia, they are at 17%. The inflation is well above 10%. At least 40% of the Russian budget is spent on defense this year. And if you look at Russia's GDP in the year 2024, it was 4.3%. It is projected to slow down to 0.9%. So this is the time to further increase the pressure on Russia. And to this end, we proposed a new approach of sanctions. We do not approach the sanctions anymore in incremental steps, but we present much more robust measures on energy, on financial services, and on trade, and that is the 19th package of sanctions that is on the table right now. Second, we need to provide military assistance to Ukraine, because if we continue to believe that Ukraine is our first line of defense, and this is the case, then we need to step up our military assistance to Ukraine.
I wanted to come to the issue of the drone wall. I noticed President Costa, President von der Leyen, you both used that term, but Prime Minister Fredriksson didn't. And we've heard from some leaders today that they agree with the general idea that Europe needs to do more to counter drones, but they don't always agree with the focus on the eastern flank. And in particular, we've seen in Denmark recently, obviously, that drones can cause big problems far from the eastern flank and without having crossed the EU's eastern borders. So do you see any need to rethink either the concept or the name of this plan, perhaps to give it a more pan-European element, or will it stay as it is? And perhaps Prime Minister Fredriksson, you can explain why you didn't use the term drone wall.
Should I start?
Yes, of course.
I don't really care about the name as long as it works. So yeah, you cannot explain anything about me using the word or not. We have had a long discussion about it today. And actually, in substance, it was a very interesting discussion because everybody knows now that the drones have changed the whole idea of a war, and the effect of drones is changing everything, and we see it every day now in Ukraine. So I like the idea of a drone wall, but we have to be very frank to the Europeans that no matter what kind of capabilities we are able to buy, to innovate, to build up, there will still be drones coming into Europe. What we have talked about today is building up a European ecosystem like the ones we have in Ukraine.
So the original idea came from Ukraine, and we are learning from Ukraine. Of course, at the moment being in the debate, the first priority for building up an anti-drone system is the eastern flank, because it's clear that these are the member states that are acutely the most exposed. But indeed, Mette, as you said, that the vision is much, much broader, and it has to have the 360-degree approach. So this anti-drone system is conceived as a shield for our entire continent. This would also include, for example, the southern flank.
And of course, for everybody, now the main threat we are facing now comes from Russia, and especially on the eastern flank. That's the reason that we are looking for the eastern flank as a priority. And of course, we can discuss what is the best trademark for this concept, for this idea. But I recall that when in March we defined our 9 main priorities on capabilities, one of them was drone and anti-drone systems. Then now is a matter of trademark.
My question was that as we speak, the EDF, the Israeli forces, are boarding the flotilla that sailed to Gaza to bring some aid, but also and mainly to raise awareness on the Gaza humanitarian situation. It is a quest that has brought many attentions and in many parts of Europe. And I was wondering if you can comment on that, and if you think that is a legitimate quest, and consequentially, if also the reaction from Israel is legitimate. Thank you.
Sorry, but during the council I don't receive any information. Then I can't comment in that this moment. Thank you.